Guys, check this thing out. This is a 2020 Ford GT. It just came in this morning for a full paint protection film wrap and a ceramic coating. I'm gonna do a quick walk around of the car. A lot of you probably have never seen one in person or never got up close to one, so I wanna show you some of the details that I love about this thing. So first of all, these headlights are big and beautiful, focal point basically of the front end. You can see they say GT across the top of them. A lot of detail going on inside the headlight housing, which I love. Carbon ceramic brakes, of course, with some massive calipers. The backs aren't, they're huge for backs, I guess, but not quite as big as I would think they'd be on a car that goes this fast. Top speed of this thing, I want to say is well over 200. Give me a minute. Google knows. Yeah, this thing will do 216 miles an hour, which is crazy. Everything is carbon fiber. I believe possibly the entire car is made out of carbon, but the doors and the whole inside panel, I love this exposed matte finish carbon. There's no gloss to it. Same with the rest of the monocoque shell. The vent from the front wheel actually comes up and goes through the door, which is cool. You can see the owner actually put some tape there to try to block some of those rocks. The car only has 66 miles on it, so he just drove it here, but he wanted to try to protect that as much as possible, because when the door is shut, there's just this shelf, and it's this gloss piano black. You can tell there's a lot of dust and stuff sitting on it already just from that short drive. So definitely want to make sure we get the film all the way up inside of that tunnel. Speaking of tunnels, one of the coolest parts about this thing is this tunnel. This is obviously for aerodynamic purposes. It's going to make our life a little bit difficult with paint protection film. We're going to have to try to reach up in here with a squeegee and all that fun stuff. Similar to a 720S, a McLaren, where you have to do that inside the door. They have an aero tunnel there as well. The back of the car, got those iconic round taillights, the exhaust mounted up high. It's funny, when you take the license plate off, I don't know if it's for weight reduction or just access to those wires or whatever, but they actually have a cutout there. You can see all the exhaust tubing behind there that's already sort of blued. I guess that's titanium probably. Under the hood, or the whatever you call this, super light, also carbon fiber. This whole thing weighs probably 10 pounds. The shocks, I'm sure, are helping with that as well, but look at that trunk. So that's all you get for trunk space in this thing in the back. And I don't actually think there's any storage up front. We'll look at that in a minute, but you got a battery tender that comes with the car. Of course, they did tell the owner that if you don't keep it on a tender, after a few days, you might end up draining the battery, and that becomes a big problem. Ecoboost engine, so that's a 6-cylinder, and a lot of people have a big problem with that. So even though the car performs really well, you maybe don't get the same sound that you got from like the 05 GTs that were the supercharged V8s, the 5-liter I think it was, or 5.4 or 2 or something like that. So this is definitely different, but it performs extremely well. The owner or the dealership was nice enough to put some type of protective film on here, so that's cool. That's obviously going to come off. We're going to be wrapping these areas with XPEL Stealth, because as you get into the car, it's very easy to just sort of scrape across there. Check out these door hinges. I've never seen a hinge like that on a car. It's pretty cool. Inside the car, first thing that you obviously are drawn to are these seats. I love the stitching on this. I want to say it's similar to the 05 GT as well, with all of these little like 1/2 inch stitches the whole way up. I think that just looks really cool, and something you don't see really in any other car on the market right now. Sometimes you'll see diamond stitching and things like that, but this is cool. All, of course, carbon fiber up here. Just overall, the seat design is very pleasing to look at. So inside the car is relatively comfortable. I've had a chance to move one of these around a little bit before, and it is sort of difficult to see around you. Your blind spot areas are, like most exotics and supercars, really hard to see what's going on there. You know what else is like that is C8s, Corvettes. They're very difficult to see out of, in my opinion. I just have a few buttons here, very simple center console. You've got your hazard, your traction control off. That button's probably a lot of fun to turn off in this. Some suspension modification, and of course the ride height, which we have a video of it somewhere, but these cars, if this one's like the 17 that we've worked on, it drops like instantly. Whereas Lamborghinis, you hit a button, takes a while to watch the front end go down. This thing just slams down like an inch or two. It's really cool. The steering wheel is really complicated. It's probably not once you understand everything, but there's a lot going on here as opposed to, say, my GT4, which is totally stripped of any buttons. So you have the shift indicator light that will pop up across there, similar to, I don't know if that's Formula or Indy. I think it's Formula 1 that has that. Your turn signals are right here. There's no stalks here. There's nothing here except for your paddle shifters, so I guess you can't get confused when you're reaching for something. And then your volume controls and all that stuff. Voice controls, which is kind of funny that I guess if you're spending this much on a car, you want those kind of luxuries, but it's obviously track focused and they still have Bluetooth and all that stuff, so that's pretty cool. You can set your modes. Windshield wipers apparently are on this little knob. I haven't seen that before. Look at those sun visors. So those are probably the most pathetic looking sun visors I've ever seen, but the windshield is so sloped, you really aren't looking through much of it. The headliner, the pillars, all of that stuff is Alcantara, which is cool. The leather, the dashboard is leather wrapped with some Alcantara up there as well. I love, just like on the door panels, the exposed carbon fiber on the dash, and that little tunnel thing underneath there is a pretty cool feature. And of course, we have the badging that reminds you that you are driving a Ford GT made in the wonderful US of A. Electronic e-brake, that's what pretty much everything is going to now. Shifter is a knob, and you've got your push to start button up there. So to pop what would normally be the frunk in a mid-engine supercar, on this car you have to reach up under like you're popping the hood of a car, and this is it. This is all you got. So it looks like some braking components, your steering rack, windshield washer fluid. I don't know if this is coolant or brake fluid, but literally no storage space. So I don't think you're going to be taking this one to the golf course. I know Porsche uses that, and so does Chevrolet, as sort of a benchmark. Not taking this one to the golf course. So like I mentioned, we are doing a full wrap with XPEL paint protection film. Of course, we're going to be doing a video of that installation process as well as the ceramic coating. So make sure you stay tuned for that. If you enjoy seeing what we're working on at the shop and sort of an in-depth look at some of the cars we get through here, make sure you subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next car.